I've had a few comments recently from people who are brand new to investing or who just want to get started with investing. So today I thought it would be really helpful to some of you guys to show you how to navigate and use Vanguard. Vanguard is obviously one of the most popular options for people when they come to set up their ISA or investment account in general. My current ISA is not actually with Vanguard, it's with Interactive Brokers, so let me know if you want me to do a similar thing showing you how to use Interactive Brokers. No messing around, let's jump straight into it and I'll try and keep this as simple and as quick as possible. So when you first make an account, you'll have an overview page a lot like this one. You can see here that my one says my ISA value and gives the current portfolio value. I think this is going to be the same whether you have an ISA account or a general investment account or whatever you have. You'll still have a similar thing as I have here. In the top left, we can see that it's telling me I'm not currently taking advantage of my ISA allowance. Like I said, that's because my current ISA is not with Vanguard, but I do still have an active account. So I can leave this one running, but just make sure I don't invest into this actively during the tax year. If you do have your ISA on Vanguard, this will show slightly differently. You will actually see it as an amount of the 20,000 that you've actually used. So for me, it would say that I've used £6,134.98 of my 20,000 allowance if this was all in one tax year. Next to that, we have this box here, and this shows you your largest holding. So that's really good to see at just a glance because you may be someone that wants to maybe shuffle around your holdings and your portfolio depending on your weightings. We can see here that it just tells me my largest holding is VUSA, how much I've got in it, and exactly the percentage of that fund that makes up my ISA. So nearly 70% of my entire ISA, my entire portfolio, comes from that one investment, VUSA. The next box is a really interesting one. It says the personal rate of return, and you can see that it's since the account opened, and mine says plus 2%. If you're in a minus rate of return, it will actually turn red and obviously be a negative number. But the interesting thing here is that with personal rate of return, you always need to take it with a pinch of salt because personal rate of return does include how your investments are doing, but it also includes anything that you put into your account and anything that you withdraw from your account. So although I've got a positive rate of return here of 2%, it doesn't mean that my portfolio is up by 2%, and it doesn't mean that my portfolio is doing really well at the moment or anything like that. If this number was plus 30% and you saw that on someone's portfolio update video, don't jump to the conclusion that they must be outdoing the market and doing really well, because it's probably more likely that they've just put in a great deal of money recently, and that will make the personal rate of return shoot right up. In the bottom left, we have this box, available cash, and this is just the amount of money that you have outside of any of your investments. So this is not money that's tied up in your investments, but instead money that you can either deploy into investments or you can just keep it there if you want some cash on your account. You can set Vanguard up a few different ways, but I personally have it set up so that any account fees and any transaction costs actually come out of my cash section rather than coming out of my bank or, Vanguard having to sell any of my positions. I just prefer it that way, but it's completely up to you. So that's why I have some cash here. Also, any dividends that I get paid actually come into the cash section, and then I can reinvest those dividends. So I guess a quick side note is if you've got an ISA with someone else, but you also have your old ISA, you can still invest in your old ISA, but it has to be within the cash on the account already, if that makes sense. You can't add more into the account. So for example, I could use this £60 to make some investments within this ISA. But what I couldn't do is put more money in to top that up to £100 and then, use that money. That wouldn't be allowed. Next to that, we have my last transaction. So you can just see that the last investment that I bought is VUSA and I paid this much. So again, that's a nice snapshot. It's not something that you necessarily need to see in detail. You just maybe want to know, what did I last buy? Here it is, nice and easy. And then lastly, this box on the right, transfer ISA. So if you've got ISAs scattered around, because of course you can open a new ISA every single tax year, you can bring them all into Vanguard if you so want to, and you can follow this start button here to do that. So that is the overview page. Down the side here, we also have some more options. So we have this investment option here, and that gives you more details on exactly what investments you hold within your portfolio. So you can see in mine, I have two, the FTSE Global All Cap, which is an index fund, and the S&P 500 VUSA, which is an ETF. And you can see the weighting that I have in each of those, how much it cost me and its current value. So on the first screen, you didn't really get information about these current values and the amount that you've lost or gained on the investment. But on this page, you can. So you can see this is the amount that this fund cost me. This is its current value. Therefore, at the moment, I've lost over £72. And I'm also in the minus with the S&P 500. And then it gives this overall amount, which is that my portfolio, since it opened, is down by £77.71. So that's quite nice to see. I mean, it's not nice to see that your account is down, but if you're a long-term investor, you probably don't really care anyway. And then it's got this cash portion because, like I said, I've got about £60 in cash, therefore that is also on here. You can as well put this into a detailed view. So you just switch this toggle here and it will give you more information. So you can see straight away you've got some other things here that you didn't have on the previous page. You got more information on how your portfolio is split up. So equity and cash. If you had any bonds, that would be here as well. It gives you information on the ongoing charges. Personally, I don't really care to see the ongoing charges here because that's something that I would have looked at when deciding to invest into these funds. But, you know, if you want it, it's here. The amount of units that you've got, the average unit costs, that could be something of interest, the last price, and so on. So you've got a little bit more information should you want it. And within this investment tab, you also have these other two tabs. So you have holdings, which we've just looked at. You also have performance. So you can see exactly how your portfolio has performed over given time periods. So naturally, this will just come up with since you started investing. So I opened this account here on this date, and this is today's date. But you can just change this. So you can have a look at your account over whatever time period you want. You can see this little rate of return here as well. And it will just give you some more information about how much I've put into the portfolio and how much my investments have returned to me. Anytime you see this little eye on Vanguard, you can click it and you'll get some more information about what that definition may mean, which is really, really helpful if you're a beginner. You don't have to keep going elsewhere and, finding out what these things mean. Vanguard will just tell you. And I must say, they do use really simple terms. It's really easy to understand. Alongside this, we have the performance shown graphically here. So, you can see how it's done and you can see the big jumps in the portfolio value, which is, of course, when I've put money into it, it's not that, over this week or so, it's just jumped up. And that's really, really good to see, I think, as well, to see it graphically. Some people obviously like things visually, so that's nice that it's there. This calculation section, so a tab within a tab within a tab, you can see a little bit more of a breakdown about how much cash you've put in, how much you've withdrawn, any transfers you've made. And then here we've got some more information about if you've sold any investments, have you made any interest, any dividends, have you made any paid any tax and any charges on the account as well. And it will give you an overall total figure as well. So you can see that, for example, that's the amount of dividends that I've made since the account opened. In this month tab, it just breaks down every single thing that you would need to know about your account financially month by month. Beginning balance, purchases and withdrawals, any gains or losses, income, so that will be dividends and anything you've made on the account, fees, and so on. And you can see the ending balance for every single month. And I think this is really, really a really useful and easy thing that Vanguard offer. And also I like the fact that they put all their plus numbers in green and any negatives, any losses that you've had in red, because at a snapshot you can see, okay, I've got a lot of reds here. What's going on? Is the market just doing badly? Am I doing something wrong? I've got a lot of greens, it's going well, whatever it may be. And then on this investment section, which is the last bit in this area here, it just breaks down what you've added to your account and what you've removed from your account. So you can see here that there's some funds that you didn't see on my investment section, on my holdings, and that's because I've sold out of them positions. I won't go into why, but they're all detailed here, which again is very, very handy. If we come back up and we click on the insight section, this gives a breakdown of a few different things within your portfolio. So you can see the product type that you have in your portfolio. So for me, I have 99% equity and 1% cash. I don't have any bonds or anything like that, so it's pretty straightforward, but it's nice to see this at a snapshot. You can see the geographical regions that you have. Of course, the bigger the circle, the bigger percentage that you have. And if you hover over it again, you can see that 88% of my portfolio is in North America. And that's of course is because I have VUSA, which is S&P 500 tracker, the top 500 or so companies in the US, North America specifically. Therefore, this circle is going to be really, really big for me. If you're someone that wants your portfolio really diversified across the world, then geographically speaking, this would be a really good thing to look at. And then it breaks it down further. You've got information about your top investments, mine being Apple. Sector allocation, again, really, really useful if you want to see how diversified your portfolio is. And then just a bit of performance over the last 3 months. Personally, again, I never use this bit at the bottom, but it's there if you did want to see it. The payment section here just shows information about any money coming into the account, any money going out of the account. If you have any regular monthly payments set up. For me, it doesn't look very informative here just because I'm not actively using this account. In the transactions section, you see every transaction that you've made within your account. So you can see that on the 3rd of April 2022, so just before the tax year flipped over to the new one, I purchased this for this amount of units at this value. And it tells you if that's something you have purchased or you've sold, which is, again, really, really useful. And you can just flick through all the different pages here if you've got a lot in there. And again, you can switch the calendar if you want to see it over a different time period. The cash statement is a more detailed way for you to see any account fees, any interest and any dividends on the account. Again, they specify exactly what's come in and what's gone out and the remaining balance after that. Fees speaks for itself, any fees that you've paid on the account. And so you've got these 2 other sections here, which I don't really use, but it gives more information about dividends. So you can open the details and stuff like that. As you can see, mine are all dividends here. And transfers, again, if you want to transfer to Vanguard from another platform. I'm not going to open my secure messages, my documents or my profile, just because there is some personal information on there. But one thing I will say is that Vanguard are super, super good with customer service. They have this secure message section where you can basically send an email from your account. And I've done it quite a number of times and I've never had to wait more than 24 hours for a reply. And the replies are always super, super helpful. When I was very much a beginner, I would email them quite a lot asking things I just didn't understand, and they would get back to me within a day and the answer would really help me. So I can't knock that at all. So that's the overview of the account once you've actually got one. Let's say you have an account with Vanguard, you've opened an account and you're ready to start investing. Where do you go? What do you do? Well, along here, and you don't actually need an account to see these features, you have some information about why Vanguard may be good for you, but you have this section here called What We Offer. And you can see that they have different things that they offer. They have active funds, index funds, ETFs, retirement, life strategy. But for simplicity, let's go to view all fund list. And this will open every single option that you have on Vanguard. So all of Vanguard's funds. Vanguard don't offer individual stocks. They only offer funds and they only offer their funds. So of course you can use ready-made portfolios if you want to. You can build your own portfolio, but I'm just going to leave it on this all funds section. And you can filter depending on the region. If you know you want a global fund, maybe you only want one investment and you want it to be as global as you can, you could select this and look through the options. They also have this risk level. So Vanguard rate all of their funds from a 1 to a 7, 7 being higher risk, 1 being lower risk. Typically, those funds with a higher amount of equity over bonds will be a higher risk and so on. But what I would say is, look at this, but also think about what you want and what your risk tolerance personally is, because, you know, they might rate it a 7 and say it's really, really risky, but actually you might think it's perfect for you and your age and how much risk you want to take on. And you can also have a look if you only want a fund that's going to pay you dividends, or you want to reinvest those dividends automatically, an index fund or an active fund. You've got all these options here. Also with Vanguard, they have their flagship life strategy funds. Some people really love these, some people don't like them as much. But essentially what they are is they're a collection of funds where they balance their equity and their bonds within the fund. So for example, the 20% equity life strategy fund will have 20% equity, 19%, so roundabout, and the remainder amount, so 81 in this case, of bonds. And they do that across different amounts. So the 40% will have 40% equity, so shares, and 60% bonds. and so on. Like I said, some people love these, some people don't like them, and they have the 100% equity option as well. So let's just filter for the USA. Let's say I want that to be my region. And just because this is one of my favorites, let's say that we are interested in the S&P 500 ETF, which is the one that I have. At a glance, you can see a few things that you may need to know about this fund. You can see it's 100% shares. So if you were looking for something with bonds, probably not the one for you. You can see the region, the risk level, the management type, the amount of holdings, and the ongoing charge, which I think at a glance, that's probably everything you need to know. So let's just say you want to find out a little bit more. You can click the full fund details and it will bring you to this page here. And this is the same page for every single one of their funds. It tells you everything you could need to know. So on this page, you can see the market price, so the current price to buy one share, the number of stocks, the ongoing charge, and the risk. But like I said, if you weren't sure what any of these things meant, you could just click this here and it would tell you. You can see that it's ISA ready, meaning you could have this fund in an ISA. Exactly what the fund is, some information about the past performance, all at just a glance. And it will also tell you if they pay dividends and if so, how regularly. You could flick through these tabs and just get more information on each of the different things. So, everything you could possibly need to know before purchasing this fund. I personally don't really like to use the this section here because I would rather just go on Google. I think it's a little bit clearer, but some people like this. And of course, it will tell you the cost and the ongoing charge, which you do need to know. You do need to know that. One thing I will say though is that Vanguard, you either have to commit to monthly direct debits of £100 to get you started or a one-off payment of £500. I don't know if this is still the case, but when I first began, I opted for the monthly direct debit of £100, and after a couple of months, I just cancelled that and nothing really happened. So if you haven't got the 500 to get going, you could do the monthly direct debit and then cancel it. I don't want to promise that you could do that, but it worked when I did it anyway. Once you've decided on the fund that you want to purchase, there is this Invest Now option. If you click on it, it will add it to your basket. You can then review your basket and continue to purchase. I'm personally not going to do that because, like I said, this isn't my ISA account right now, so I legally cannot put anything into it unless I'm using the cash on the account, which is not enough to buy this. If you remember, I had £60. One share of this is 62. So I can't do this to show you. However, I have got videos I've done before where I've purchased on Vanguard live, so you can check them out if you're interested. But it's super straightforward. You just follow the the buttons and you will purchase the fund very easily. So there we have it. That was how to use and navigate Vanguard. I hope that was super helpful. At the moment, Vanguard don't have a mobile app. They only have a desktop version as they're really, really into trying to promote long-term investing. So they don't really believe that investors need to check their investments on an app every single day. But maybe they'll have one in the future, I'm not sure. If you want to see this type of video for a platform such as Interactive Brokers that I'm currently investing on, do let me know in the comments below.